2 weeks ago after practice for the Kansas game. It was really funny. We were in DKR Texas Memorial Stadium, and as Longhorn Letterman, I had the privilege to attend practice. And Coach Brown had the cast of the Wizard of Oz there, Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion were dressed up. There's no place like home in Kansas. And but after that practice, I was walking through the Texas locker room area. I was actually about to go work out in the weight room, and Will Muschamp walked down. Normally at practice, I hang out near the offensive end, watch Colt and those guys, but I never met Coach Muschamp. I shook his hand, introduced myself, and just told him how much I love the way he coaches the game, appreciate what he's done. And I actually asked him if I could chest bump him, and he kind of looked dismayed and backed away. And I literally grabbed his hand and made him chest bump me. And I think he got a kick out of it. But, man, it was like a highlight for me, dude.
Oh, man, that's amazing. Wish I could have seen that.
Well, maybe I'll rush the field now that Coach McWilliams has scored me a ticket, and I don't have to. I thought I got a chance to buy tickets as Letterman, but that's just for home games, and I was going to get a buy ticket there in the parking lot, but I think I got one. Hopefully, someone won't beat me to the will call. But it's very exciting the way we play defense. Offensively, obviously, last weekend's Aggies, Greg, was an incredible game for Colt in a national spotlight. Tell us a little bit about what he's done offensively, and then we're going to all weigh in on the Heisman Trophy race.
Well, I loved his comment after the game, and somebody asked him about that 65-yard run. I don't know if you heard that or not. And they asked him if he realized, it was kind of something to the effect of if he realized how fast he really was. And his response was, I'm real fast if somebody's chasing me. And, of course, he had several really fast guys running behind him. But what an unbelievable performance. And I brought this up at our last show. Who among us who are Longhorn fans would have ever dreamed when Vince Young came out after his junior season and won the national championship and said he was going to the NFL, who among us would have ever thought that a snotty-nosed kid from 2A Tuscola would be able to bring us back?
Why do you keep calling him snotty-nosed? Does he have post-nasal drip or what? Is that just,
The answer is no one.
Anyway, no one would have thought that.
Well, we have a very special guest in the studio, Nancy Dickson Stiles, who was the valedictorian of South Taylor High School, which later became Jim Ned High School. And my dad, Bob McMillan, both graduated from Colt McCoy's alma mater. And Nancy, tell us a little bit about Tuscola, Texas, population 714. Salute!
Yeehaw!
And how special it is for Colt to come from such a small school, attain the excellence and the winning he has at the University of Texas, and now, in our opinion, about to be named the 2009 Heisman Trophy winner.
Well, I would have to tell you that I know what this has done for the community. And, these are hardworking people. This is the sort of community where these people are weathering all kinds of problems. It's one of those places where there are a lot of farmers and ranchers. In fact, that's what it all is. And even though his folks were teachers, I know that he has some grounding in that and heritage. So I would just simply say what a wonderful thought that he could bring honor to a country school, because country schools do love athletics. There's hardly anything else there. So he's a
bunch of cows.
Well, right, but and let me tell you, back when I was there, that football field was full of grass burrs. But anyway, it's just such a thrill, and I really tried to get me a T-shirt designed a couple of weeks ago that said I'm from Tuscola too, because no one could ever even say it or spell it.
Well, it's not too late, and you got 1 week to go public with your support of the Heisman, and that you're from Tuscola, because Tuscola's going to be even more famous in a week.
Thank you, sir.
Might be a poor business venture there.
Absolutely. Well, Nancy, tell us, in your opinion, why do you think, in all honesty, not just because you were the valedictorian of South Taylor / Jim Ned High School, not just that your son was a 4-year Letterman for the Longhorns, not just that you're a passionate Longhorn and Colt McCoy fan, but why do you think he deserves to win the Heisman Trophy this year?
Well, I'm just going to go back to what Coach McWilliams and I talked about. He is such a fantastic example, and he really had some tough times that second year. Wasn't it his sophomore year when he had the various things happened, and he never quit. He is, the guy that actually went out in Possum Kingdom Lake and rescued somebody. I think he's a real kid. I think that when someone called him snotty-nosed, it could be there's a little bit of a baby face, but I'm so happy to think that a guy who's had all of the things go on in his life seems to still be a very humble young man and someone that we'd all be so proud of. You've talked about various friends of yours, and of course we sat next to the Murdochs as we watched you all play, and I wish I'd known Eric back then. I certainly knew Greg, but there is a wonderful association of these people who have had something to do with the university, and that's what we need in this country. We need more people that are connected with allegiance to things like good universities.
Couldn't agree more.
We've got a special guest now on the line calling from Midland, Texas. My dad, Dr. Robert LaRue McMillan, a retired veterinarian. And Dad, living in Tuscola during Colt McCoy's high school years and watching most of his home games and going to watch him play basketball and watch him play and win an incredible number of games. Tell us your opinion of Colt as a high school athlete, what the folks around Tuscola, how they feel about how much pride he's brought to West Texas, and why you think he deserves to win the Heisman Trophy this year.
Well, Chad, watching him play in high school was really an honor. Not just him; they had a great team. They had of course, his dad and the coaching staff was great, and they just had a great 2A high school football team, and then went on, and their basketball teams was great, and I know everybody like myself in Tuscola is so proud of Colt and what he's accomplished, and of the Longhorns too. Even though I'm an Aggie, I'm proud of those Longhorns. I'm a good Longhorn fan.
You think
a great Longhorn fan, but no, we're very proud of Colt and his accomplishments, and the fact that he's just a good Christian young man and gives God credit for all that he does. I think that's great, and I think there's really honestly no one more deserving than Colt to win the Heisman this year, and they're going to win he's going to win the Heisman, and they're going to win the national championship. That's just the way it's going to be.
That's the kind of talk we like to hear from a former Aggie veterinarian. I'll just have to say Colt McCoy, without question, is the best athlete to ever come out of Jim Ned High School. I think Bob McMillan was the second best athlete, incredible bruising fullback. And then you had an opportunity to sign with the Baltimore Orioles out of high school as a professional baseball pitcher. Tell us what it was like to play football at Jim Ned High School back about 75 years ago when it was called South Taylor High School.
Well, each year, right?
It wasn't 75 years ago.
They'd take a breaking plow and go out there and break our field up, and then before each game, the football players, which was us, I think the most we ever had maybe on the team was 20. We'd have to lime the field off and get it ready for the game and everything. And it was pretty primitive back then, but it was a real treat when we got to play on grass. But most of our games were on dirt field, and of course, if it rained, it was muddy, and it was a mess. It was a mess. But we had some good teams and some good leadership through those years, but nothing like what Colt and those boys accomplished there at Jim Ned.
Well, it was a challenging moment, I know, when I was being recruited out of Katy High School as an offensive lineman. Took official recruiting visits to Notre Dame, Nebraska, UCLA, Duke, and Texas. An unofficial visit to Baylor, and your heart was always for me to follow in your footsteps and play for Jackie Sherrill, be a fighting Texas Aggie. What was it a hard transition for you to start cheering for your son who was wearing the burnt orange and white instead of the maroon and gray and white and whatever they're wearing?
No, of course my heart's with A&M and my heart's with Texas too. But no, the transition wasn't that hard, and it's just kind of hard when they play each other. I'm not sure where my allegiance always lies, but that's the only challenging time to it. But when they're not playing each other, I'm always for Texas and hook 'em horns.
All right. Well, Dad, thank you so much for calling in. Thanks for being such a passionate fan, guys. My dad, I don't know anybody, any human that watches more football than Bob McMillan. Got him a nice flat panel TV out in Midland. He kicks it on ESPNU or the Deuce or whatever. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. Watches high school football. Watches every directional school, every obscure game. and then squares up when the real deal starts. And we're going to have a great time hearing about your take next week after we hand it to Nebraska tonight. And the Longhorns show up their Big 12 championship. So thanks a lot for calling in. We love you. Hook 'em horns. And I'll